Hey guys, what's up? Sandu here. I'm back testing DAC and Headphone Amp combos. Yay, thumbs up. And today I have something really affordable, I think, and really great sounding unit called SMSL M500. Let's check it out together first and see what's inside. The product box is fairly small, as you can see, but once I opened it up, I was pleased to find lots of foam inside, so for additional protection. And of course inside you'll find the M500 unit itself. I put it here. You also have a USB Type B cable. I put it right here. You have a power cable. You have your usual paperwork, like the user manual and the warranty guide. And of course a very nice remote control that I really like. You can control M500 with it and all these features. And that is basically it. I was actually stunned by the size of M500. It looks big in pictures, but in reality it is really small, as you can see. This is basically the smallest DAC and headphone amp combo with balanced outputs on the back that carries a desktop class DAC chip inside. So as you can see, the entire body is made out of thick anodized aluminum. I have the silver version. There is also a black one and there is a red option if you would like to add a little bit of color. The front panel is really thick, as you can see, at about 8 millimeters thickness. Inserting heavy-duty headphone jacks will not move the unit from the table. And underneath it, 4 rubber feet will make sure it will not move around when changing volume settings or making adjustments in the menu. On the front panel there is a very easy to read and really bright LCD screen provided by LG. At only 2.2 inches, it doesn't attract a lot of attention, and I really like that it has 9 displayed brightness modes. I'm often listening to music late night and don't like to be bothered by lights. On the front panel you have just a simple 1/4 inch headphone jack and a small volume wheel that also works as a standby button. A long press on it will put the unit in the standby mode. The back panel looks stuffed with lots of inputs and outputs. You have the coaxial input, 2 optical inputs, and an MQA enabled USB input. It has single-ended and balanced outputs on the back via RCA and XLR. I am glad that M100 is not USB bus powered. Instead it uses a 2-pole AC cable. In terms of tech specs, first of all you should know that M500 uses top-of-the-line and desktop class ES9038 Pro DAC chip. It is basically among the best commercial made DAC chip on the market. To let the DAC section breathe and work at normal parameters, SMSL incorporated a high-performance voltage regulator from ESS Technologies that actually were developed to work in tandem with this particular DAC chip to squeeze the best of it. I consider its USB input as being the best sounding digital input. Adopting the newest XMOX receiver chip, the M500 never lost a beat or its connection, and it sounds absolutely great on the USB input. This particular USB receiver supports PCM material up to 32 bits. It also can decode DSD content even on the coaxial and the optical inputs. That is kind of amazing. What is kind of unique to M500, especially at this price point, is the inclusion of a full-blown MQA decoder. And I'm not talking about an MQA renderer like AudioQuest implemented in their Dragonfly products. I mean a full-blown MQA decoder. Its internal headphone amp circuit was developed using discrete components. I was assured it has enough current even for power-hungry headphones, so the damping factor should be always very high. Last but not least, SMSL developed its own ultra-low noise power supply encapsulated inside a metal shell. It is basically shielded away from analog circuitry for the best results. Now, checking out the menu options, the LCD screen will show important information such as the selected input and output, the volume level, bitrate, and what kind of material is being played, PCM, DSD or MQA. Gently pushing on the volume wheel enters the setup menu where additional settings can be accessed, such as you can select 4 digital inputs. You have USB Type B, optical 1 and 2 and coaxial. I use the USB the most, followed by both optical inputs that work excellent with a game console. Next you can select the output, the line out or the headphone out. Moving on, you can select your desired digital filter that are built in directly into the ESS DAC chip. I personally like the fast minimum and fast linear default one. They do make a difference, I think, but a really faint one. Now moving on, you can dim the LCD screen. It has 9 brightness levels. And lastly, you can check the hardware version and the manufacturer date of your device. The best part is that all those settings can be controlled via the remote control as well. I think this is a really good feature if you want to use it in the living room with a pair of speakers. Okay guys, so when it comes to sound performance, I first listened to it connected to these IEMs and to these IEMs. Also listened to another pair of very sensitive IEM, and you should know that volume increases exponentially. It meaning that it starts rising really fast, starting with 14th position or so. With my amps I could listen to at the volume of 15 out of 40, and more than that I couldn't go, it just will be too loud for me. And I think M500 has a lot of grunt, a lot of power, a lot of diaphragm control with any IEMs I ever listened to. One thing to note is that past 20 volume position M500 has a little bit of hum, a little bit of background noise, but only when I'm pausing my music. But the good thing you should note is that at that volume I couldn't listen to any of these IEMs, it just will be too loud for me. So I think I'm pretty safe from any hum or from any background noise. Its noise is basically on the same level with the Head-Amp Gilmore Light Mark II and with RZH Bacillus. Those two headphone amps are costing around $500 and they don't have a DAC inside, so in the end I think M500 does a pretty good job with IEMs. With all the music I listened to, but especially with faster paced music, I had an impression that the M500 has a pretty good grip and very good control over the headphone drivers, and has little to no coloration at all in terms of frequency response. I first decided to listen to the Quad Era 1 planar magnetic headphone. I think there is a big change, a very positive one, when it comes to headphone pairings. Era 1 is quite a difficult load even for some desktop units, and of course the portable device will struggle with them. But I think M500 drives them fully at their full potential. I think that is a pretty amazing thing. With M500 I'm basically can pass the 28th position out of maximum 40, and my comfortable listening level is 25, I think. I can definitely say that its internal headphone amp was not put there for convenience, and can really drive some serious headphones. When I moved to Sennheiser HD660, I think it was a child's play for M500. My volume level lowered to about 23 position, and I couldn't go louder than 26 position. So I think the Sennheiser HD6XX family of headphones will be fully driven, so don't worry about that. Moving on to the hardest to drive headphone from my stable, I mean the Hi-Fi Manieria, with its lower sensitivity and higher impedance than my Quad Era 1. The volume jumped of course higher, so my normal listening session would be at around 30 position, and I couldn't go louder than 34 for some really loud tunes. Even with Hi-Fi Manieria, I think M500 has pretty great dynamic swing. It has an impressive kick into the eardrums and a really high fun factor. So it actually kinda surprised me, since not a lot of headphone amps, mostly single-ended ones, can properly drive the Hi-Fi Manieria. Still, M500 I think did that with pretty good control over the headphone drivers. It actually sounds quite fast, pretty articulate, mean and imposing with the right set of cans, I think. I managed to connect M500 to benchmark HPA4 via balanced interconnect cable, so basically I could compare the both headphone amp section of both units and properly evaluate the internal headphone amp section of the M500. So in my opinion there isn't a better headphone amp right now on the market like the amazing HPA4 from benchmark. And with it I can easily pick up sound signatures of any audio source. I can easily compare it with other headphone amps. So compared with HPA4, M500 headphone amp section is fairly neutral, with just a small emphasis in the treble area and in the mid-bass section. It sounds a little bit V-shaped, but I presume there is a little bit of boost at around 2 to 3 dB in those areas, just to make it feel airier and more vibrant somehow. M500 loses a little bit of holography and spatial cues, but that is understandable given the much higher power reserve HPA4 is having. Nonetheless, the power reserve of M500 was quite obvious with the Quad Era 1 and with Sennheiser HD660, and it actually never transformed those two headphones into something else, so I think M500 is quite honest sounding without leaving a bit stain on the musical performance. I then moved my listening session to the living room, and I listened to the speakers you see in the background. Those are KF LS50 wireless, And with M500 added to the chain, I am feeling a very big family resemblance with KHS S3 and even with my own Matrix Audio Element X. And I think M500 borrows a lot of good parts from those two units and adds just a little bit of its own character into the mix. My reference unit at this moment is the Element X from Matrix Audio, and I'm not kidding you when I'm telling that M500 sounds like a baby Element X. They have even the same color scheme. So there are already many times when I felt that LS50 wireless was outperformed by external DAC units, and I think M500 did that pretty easily without stressing itself too much. What I really like in almost all ESS Saber designs is the ability to have a faster pace, to have a kick a little bit harder and to generate better dynamic swings no matter the song you are listening to. And I think M500 is basically exactly like that too. And to some degree it even outperforms the likes of Topic D70 and the other AKM based DACs. M500 basically was made for faster paced music with engaging music. Sure, it can play slow music as well, but with its faster decay and little to no smoothness, it might impact your listening experience. So in terms of frequency response, I still stand by the impression that M500 has a very great sub-bass performance. It even has a very good mid-bass performance as well. I think it is just a little bit overdone to infuse a little bit of joy and a little bit of fun and character into the mix. So I think the bass lovers will really be impressed by M500 and its ability to bring bass really fast into the room, to hit you hard into the chest and to run away basically in an instant. I consider its mid-range performance quite linear, so it never overdone, never overshadowed, and I think M500 has a perfect dose of naturalness and technical prowess. So I think the vocal performance is great once it hits the 48 bar in time. I think voices have a pretty great sustain and sounding really deep. What I really like is that all the acoustic instruments are really outlined, very detailed and have pretty great leading edges. So the blurriness effect is almost never present on the M500, mostly because it has a sharp and detailed image. Treble is probably among the best aspects of this device. It sounded a little bit hot in the first 2 days of my evaluation, but it was tamed the following days to be much more approachable, much more listenable. So it also impressively extended in the subsonic treble area without having a natural roll-off. So I think past 16 kHz area and my M500 still has traces of micro information and micro detail. So I consider it having a very good treble response, and when I'm listening to bad mastered music, the treble will not be rendered as a huge treble blob or like a big harsh mess. There is some void spaces between all those sounds, and I think M500 is somehow decompressing all that treble, all that music, and placing everything it's in own space into the mix. Okay guys, so moving on into the conclusion, as a DAC only device, I think you have everything you need. You have an RCA output, you have a balanced XLR output, you have a remote control at your fingertips. That is a very nice addition. As a DAC and as a headphone amp combo, it is basically a dream come true, and if you are streaming head, even better. Tidal Master sounded amazing, and any faults I have with 60-bit files were basically cured with high resolution material with DSD and MQA content. So a full MQA renderer at less than half a grand, I think that is something new. And M500 without a doubt is an excellent performing unit in the speaker-based or headphone-based setups, and at only $400 you cannot go wrong with it. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed my review. My full in-depth review can be read at my website, there's a link below. Please listen to my music, be positive, and I'll see you soon. Cheers guys, bye bye.